Welcome back to the Minimax 1030R build with me. I'm Scott. And since the last video episode, I've cut this port side loose from the workbench, removed all the blocks, cleaned up a little bit, removed the wax paper. Now I got it flipped over and I got to install the board right here for the motor area, and I got a board right here over the seat belt area to glue on. Then I'm going to sand it top and bottom. Then I'm going to bring the starboard side framing up here and sand it down and get it both ready for plywood. And we'll try to get some plywood on here this evening. I apologize for the previous videos. I am not professional, I'm amateur, and it shows. By the time we're done with this plane, I'll know how to make videos and a plane maybe. Hopefully I'm better at making a plane. Apologize for the noise. I had a blower on. It's extremely hot in here sometimes. I had a blower on, radio, dog barking. Excuse me for all the interruptions. And we'll be right back and there'll be some done. All right, well, there's my grandson. He's been doing the racetrack around his workbench. But, all right, just got done sanding all this down nice and flat. It was a good fit, which helps. The orbital sander, I started doing it a lot, but the little fine orbital sander I got for doing drywall works really good. Now we're going to glue on this piece here. And this one over here. Then we'll flip it over and prep the other side. Pretty rigid. Looks good, don't it? This is just the beginning though, you know? Alright. Let me mix up some epoxy. I don't like rubber gloves. I'm like O.J. Simpson. The glove doesn't fit. Even the extra larger ones still a pain in the butt. These are some, I don't know where my wife got these, but these, I don't think they're as good as the other little exam gloves, which I got some of them too. We'll use these up first though. Whether you thought so or not, building an airplane is an extremely expensive endeavor. Buying the kit, buying the tools, I probably spent $1,000 past couple months in preparation, rebuilding tools and replacing tools. There's nothing like having the right tool for the job. It sure makes it easier and gives you a higher quality product. Let me see. Notice when you're doing plywood, it takes quite a bit of glue. When you're doing in between the members, not so much. It's hard to measure sometimes. It's supposed to be 1-to-1, so I'm looking at the bottles, but they're not the same exact size bottles, so that kind of throws you off. It'd be nice if they give you two exactly graduated bottles. The resin is about half the viscosity or thickness, and so it tends to run out quicker. Mix it a little bit up here. I can go and mix more. My grandson here, he's mowing the grass in the garage, which is very important. I can't get around a lot of grass in the garage. It's too much work. Then you got the bugs and all that. He's pretty busy. I remember the day I had his energy. Many days ago. It makes me smile though. If you're important, get around people and do things in your life that make you smile. This is making me smile. I find myself lying in bed at night thinking about what I'm going to do tomorrow. It kind of, not that I had nothing to look forward to before, but it gives you something to look forward to. It keeps your mind occupied because there's so much to this, and I don't have any co-workers on this. Wouldn't work out too good since I just work on it in my spare time. It's hard to line up help when you don't know when you're going to be available. But right now it's lunchtime. I have a full-time job that's pretty demanding, and I got a travel coming up pretty soon too. So while I'm going traveling, I won't be able to get nothing done. I try to get a bunch of stuff glued up before I go, so at least it'll be drying while I'm going. Something to think about. Even if I never fly it, or even die before I'm done building it, let's say, I'm enjoying my time because I like building stuff, and I like a challenge. This is very challenging. It gets more challenging to come up. I used to do some really challenging stuff. I used to build, I think I told you before, I worked at Newport News Shipbuilding. I built aircraft carriers and submarines. And the aircraft carriers were very interesting, but submarines, they're hard to build because there's such a tight tolerance. I mean, they gotta be perfectly round. And I don't know if you've ever tried to mess with steel, especially something that's 30, 40 foot across, and try to keep it perfectly round, but it is so close to impossible, pitiful. But we do it, and that is a real challenge. Also, working on a submarine, it's real tight inside a submarine. Not much room to work, and it's real hot. And that was a challenging thing, and I thought that was the most challenging thing I would ever do. And then I left the shipyard and started my own little construction company and service business and stuff. And did a bunch of stuff, trying to explore life a little bit, possibilities. My father was his own boss his whole life, and I thought I'd give it a shot. For 25 years, I was my own boss and did construction. And the most challenging thing I've ever done in my life, I did during that period of time, which is concrete work. Nothing is more challenging or physically demanding than concrete work. It also requires highly developed skills in math, timing, and then finishing concrete, like when you finish a floor or wall or something, is actually more of an art than a skill. You can't tell somebody how to do it at all. It's one of them things where you live and learn. But to do concrete work, you gotta be a meteorologist, structural engineer, civil engineer, a chemist, because of all kinds of different chemicals you can put in concrete, go in concrete, to make it react and do different stuff and have different strengths and flexibilities. It's endless, the stuff. And then you're completely dependent on the weather. And you gotta make sure you don't make any mistakes, because if you make a mistake in concrete work, you can't just cut another board and splice it on like you are a carpenter, or you can't just splice another wire on like an electrician would do, or you can't just cut a piece of pipe and put another piece of pipe on like a plumber would do. No, when you mess up in concrete work, you gotta get concrete saws, jackhammers, all kinds of stuff to tear it up. And I can tell you, you don't want to do that. It's really hard. Luckily in my life, never had to do that. But the people that have learned the hard way. It's a very hard way to go. Then on top of tearing it all up, now you got to completely rebuild it and dispose of all that stuff. And pay to dispose of tons of concrete that's usually filled with reinforcing wire and all that. Long story short, very challenging to do. Very rewarding to see something that you cast in place, almost like casting, ceramic. But building an airplane is right up there. Let's say, especially a wooden airplane like this is right up there with concrete as far as tough to do. Well, I get that. Totally backwards because I got my arrow right there and didn't pay attention to it at all. All right. This side's the fat side. Look, I used all that glue just for this piece. All right, let's try it again. There we go. Because I want to get this top and front flush where you know you're going to see it or whatever. 5/16 staples for this. Huh? Oh, and my wife outside, she's blowing bubbles with my grandson. All right, there's that piece. Mix me up a little more stuff. No more. Start calling it stuff. When I say stuff, you know what I'm talking about. And it is stinky stuff. It smells like something a crab would poop out. You might wonder how does he know what crab poop smells like? I don't. It's hard to tell from this epoxy the color because it comes out kind of creamy, kind of it's like the glaze, you get on donuts. Need to put a 1-inch mark on that. That's where it goes. 1 inch over. Okay. Alright. Have a do ya. I might have to mix up some more. Doing your big flat surfaces, it uses it up and really clamping it and just stapling it. So I'm not going to see the squeeze out as much. But make sure I get enough. just enough. Just enough glue. That's gonna work out good. You kind of know where this part's going, but if you're not sure, you want to mark it. Make sure you got enough. When we come up to doing this skin on the plywood, you're marking it real good. Oh, I'm not gluing nothing else. I do got something else to glue, but no, I'll do that in a second. All right. Okay. I got more than enough epoxy on that. Put that around. So, there it is. Oh, it's slippery. There's a little epoxy on there. Okay. Move a little bit. Okay, though. Good. Okay, done. All right, let that dry a little bit, get back to work. Then I'm gonna flip it over, sand the other side, move it, get the other one up here, get it sanded, and we will continue after a while. Thanks for tuning in one more time.